Hello everyone, this is Turin here, and welcome to another entry in our Community Cast series. In this game, we're going to have a showdown between the Blind Deaf Orphan, who's going to be playing the Dwarfs, and he's going to be facing off against Dwarfs, who's going to be playing the Beastmen. So this is actually a little bit different than the usual format. This game is indeed live, so I am in the lobby spectating. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and if you guys have like friends that you want to play against and you'd like me to cast the games, shoot me a message on Steam, and if I'm available, I will definitely cast the game. So let's go ahead and take a look at the army composition. So for the Blind Deaf Orphan, he does have a front line of Longbeards with great weapons, which is a pretty good pick in my opinion, because again, they do have the charge defense against large foes. So against like Gorbals and Bestigors, and even against the Chariots, if they are braced, they can do pretty well for themselves. On top of that, he does have the Grumbling Guard in the middle, providing that aura to all of these guys. And not lastly, but on top of that, he does also have the Peak Gate Guard. So these guys do have the armor sundering. I don't know how much I'd like them against the Beastmen, but I mean, if they do get into a bunch of Bestigors or are able to surround, the enemy Lord, they can do some serious work. So he has a Rune Lord, 2 Runesmiths, and then some Slayers in the back. So one of the big issues that the Dwarves have against the Beastmen is usually the fact that the Beastmen can really swarm your mobile units. So if you have like Rangers or Thunders or things like that, it's very tough to protect them. So it looks like the Blind Deaf Orphan decided to actually just get Gyrocopters, because again, they don't take a lot to protect. The Harpies are going to be pretty good at chasing them, but I believe Gyrocopters are much faster with 105 speed. So if he's on top of his micro, he can like circle this one out here, this one back, and then this one back this way, and he can then get crossfire into the middle and like take out the Harpies pretty effectively. So even if I think if all 3 of those guys plus a Rune of Wrath and Ruin jumped on those Harpies in melee, they would be able to crush them pretty quick. So for Dwarfs, he does have a lot of Chariots. So Razorgore Chariots mixed with the Brave Shaman with Lord of Death. So he does have Soul Blight over there, which is very good against the Dwarves. On top of that, he does have a mixed front line with Gore Herds and Bestigor Herds pushing in. A single group of Harpies, which I really like that pick. That is great against Dwarves. It just makes it so much more stressful, because now the Blind Deaf Orphan really has to worry about microing against those Harpies. Like, he can't just relax and sit and shoot whatever he wants. Over here, he does have some more Baconators, definitely going to be bringing the ham. And he has a Beast Lord, actually, so a little bit of a change up from our usual Morker, but against the Dwarves, the Beast Lord is arguably just as good, if not better, because Chariots are just so tough for the Dwarves to deal with. And more Baconators here. Looks like he does have 3 squads of those guys, so the Dwarves definitely are going to want to Helm's Deep it here. They're going to want to like stay as tightly compact as they can, use those big juicy runes, but even right here, you can see the Gyrocopters are being chased, so what he needs to do right now is just immediately use a Rune of Wrath and Ruin on these guys. So you can see he is kiting into several directions, which is good, but he could also just commit, because Gyrocopters are not pushovers in melee. They have 30 melee attack and, decent weapon strength. So you definitely need to see a Rune of Wrath and Ruin on these guys. And it looks like these Gyrocopters over here get a nice, is that a Master Rune? It looks like it's just a standard one. So the Baconators are going to come in here, but they were braced. So very, very good stuff from the Dwarf player. He also is going to be retaliating, pulling these Slayers, and the Slayers will absolutely massacre these guys and definitely send them to Wendy's for those bacon burgers. So they're getting in there, getting a good rear charge. You can see these guys are taking a lot of damage. They're shaken, so definitely some good stuff. You can see the Soul Blight going down and hitting a lot of these troops, so hopefully he will retaliate with his Rune Lord right here and pop some of those good juicy runes, because that Soul Blight lowers that armor quite a bit and is going to allow those Gore Herds and other non-armor piercing units to do very, very well for themselves. So you can see over here another Rune of Wrath and Ruin going off. The Longbeards in the front line holding very, very well, and it looks like they do have all of the runes. So they have the ward save, they have the armor, they have all kinds of good stuff. So a very, very pitched battle here. You can see some of these Bestigors do get through to the Slayers, which is a very bad matchup for the Slayers. Though they did get some armor from their Rune Lord. I mean, they might win. I'm not sure, actually. I think the Bestigors would probably win that, because Slayers don't have very good armor piercing, even though their weapon strength is really high. So the Gyrocopters have been kind of chased off by the Harpies, but the Harpies did get a Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin, so very well played by the Blind Deaf Orphan. But still, those Gyrocopters from Dwarfs are doing a very, very good job. You can also see he has this big scary goon squad in the back, and once these guys collapse on the back of the Dwarves, like here, here, and here, that is going to be very rough. But the Peak Gate Guard are in the perfect position. They're saturated with other units. You can see these Chariots are going to be riding through the front line, doing some heavy damage to these guys. So definitely a good fight so far. So the Peak Gate Guard are detaching from the front line. It looks like they're going to intercept these Baconators. The Baconators do have 50 armor, so the armor sundering isn't going to necessarily be useless here. But the ham bones here are going to do well against these guys with their armor piercing damage. But again, let's go ahead and take a look. So the armor is it sundered yet? It hasn't been summered, so I don't know if the Peak Gate Guard have really gotten in there yet. But let's go ahead and take an overarching look at things. Battle's very chaotic, but bounce power, it looks like we have 320 units for the Dwarves and about 600 left for the Beastmen. So the Beastmen do have a lot of like very durable units, like the Chariots and also the Baconators and all that, but a lot of the frontline troops, the Longbeards, are starting to crumble a little bit. They are getting that Soul Blight, which is kind of being counteracted by that Rune of Wrath and Steel. So the Dwarf leadership is definitely very tough to kill in the end. Chariots are not good at taking out leadership. So if the 2 Runesmiths can kind of turtle up and the Gyrocopters can shoot over their heads, just form a bit of a Helm's Deep type formation. I think they might be able to, pull this out or at least have a chance. In the back, you can see the Pete Gate Guard here down to 32 models. They just got massacred and only got about 22 kills. At least they have shaken some of these best scores here. You can see it's a very, very dirty fight here in the pits. Just blood everywhere, but the Pete Gate Guard will trade pretty effectively with these guys, but honestly, I don't know if they're worth the extra 500 gold. I've had pretty ineffective results with them in testing. You can also see that the Blind Deaf Orphan has decided to land the gyrocopters, which I would definitely pull them up in the air, because these guys do very well at just shooting at chariots and baconators and things like that. So he definitely wants to just sit them up in the air here and just shoot at these targets. They could be generating a lot more value in my opinion. So you can see the balance of power is starting to shift in the favor of the Beastmen player, but the Dwarven leadership is standing pretty strong. The Rune Lord in here is somewhat surrounded, but not a lot of the Beastmen units, aside from the best scores, are going to be very effective at taking these guys out. So the Rune Lord here is, as you guys can see, completely surrounded with his Rune of Negation. But, these guys are not very good versus these large units. The Baconators are units with big mass in general. As you guys know, like the Kazrak, when you put him on foot, I believe he has like 470 weapon strength, but when you put him on his chariot, it gets lowered to 350. It definitely is more altered towards taking out like infantry style units. So you can see some more bacon coming in the background. The Blind Deaf Orphan does still have these gyrocopters up in the air who have used about half their ammunition, so he has been shooting. You can also see some Pete Gate Guard coming back and a lot of gyrocopters. So if those guys start shooting, I mean, you can see a lot of these Beastmen units are actually routing off. So if army losses wasn't so rough, like in Total War Warhammer, like this fight might go quite a bit longer. I would really also like to see him drop some bombs. Like if he can fly right here and drop some bombs here, here, and like right here, that would just be devastating. So it looks like he is kind of parking them above. Is he going to drop bombs? That is going to be the great mystery of our time. It looks like I saw some sort of fire going down, but I don't think they're dropping. There it is. That was beautiful. So it hit that back line of Gore Herds who are actually shaken. And a lot of the Baconators are actually not in great shape, and you can see the balance of power is kind of tilting up and down a little bit. So it's going a little bit towards the Dwarfs. Granted, I think they might be too far behind to come back from, though this Runesmith is just tanking these guys like an absolute boss. But there are some armor-piercing best scores, so if the Blind Deaf Orphan could perhaps focus these best scores with the Runes of Wrath and Ruin and just work down all the armor-piercing, then it might be very tough, because this Rune Lord is just champing in the middle right here. But again, like I mentioned before, army losses is real difficult in this game, but that Soul Blight from Dob Plays is awesome. Very well played using that. It's going to make them a lot squishier, and it's going to allow a lot of these units that normally wouldn't be able to get through that 120 armor to do quite a bit better. So another set of bombs dropped on these guys. So the Rune Lords and the Dwarven leadership down here is just holding, just tooth and nail, just fighting, and you can actually see the Razor Gores kind of starting to get routed off a little bit. So they're wavering. The best scores here are actually steady. The Rune Lord is starting to get pretty low, though. He's down to about 2,500 HP. Last we looked, he was at about 3,400, so he's starting to get worn down. His leadership is just teetering on the brink of wavering at army losses, and some Harpies did come back, but it looks like the Gyros up here with all those juicy ruins. Look at that. The Master of Ruin, the Negation, all that kind of stuff are doing a very good job in this last stand type situation. And these two Runesmiths are just fighting to the death, just doing so good, because the best scores don't really have enough stopping power with, this few model count to deal with this. And they don't have like a heroic unit like a Gorbel or a Morker or a Beast Lord on the ground that could do really well in this like duelist type situation. So the Runesmiths are holding quite well. So they're up to 35 kills. It looks like this one has 25. And the Rune Lord over here is actually doing some good damage. So he actually dives with the gyrocopters and jumps on the back of this guy on the chariot right here. So that'll do some decent damage actually. But they definitely want to use their ammunition, because when they come in here, the problem is in landing like that, if some of those die, it's going to get you that much closer to army losses. So you can see a lot of the Beastmen forces are just simply routing off right now. And he continues to cycle charge. It looks like he is going to be pulling back. But again, that's exactly what I was worried about. He did hit the army losses there. So very well played to both Dob Plays and the Blind Deaf Orphan. It was a super fun game to watch, just to the bitter end. So the Dwarven leadership, definitely very tough to kill. I liked the kind of Helm's Deep style. A few things I didn't like was the Pete Gate Guard. They're very expensive. A cool unit nonetheless, but again, in this matchup, they're just going to get overrun by chariots and by baconators and all that kind of stuff. I definitely would have liked to see that resources spent, elsewhere. Maybe some more Longbeards, maybe another group of, maybe just some standard fodder units like Dwarf Warriors or something. Because if you get Dwarf Warriors kind of mixed in with Runesmiths and a Rune Lord, they can be very durable. Also, I would have liked to see the gyrocopters a little bit less aggressive in the landing. Just use that full ammunition and then land when you need to. Because they could have been doing some serious overwatch on those Runesmiths in the end. And when they did land, they died and caused army losses, which is, again, a bit of a janky mechanic in my opinion. But regardless, super well played to the Blind Deaf Orphan and Dob Plays. That was an awesome game. Look forward to casting some more of your games. And guys, I got more content coming soon.